there's so much passion and really thought that's going into this project. And having worked on projects of much less significance in my life, I know that there's kind of ebbs and flows when things are really difficult with the project, and they're more time consuming than you expect, and they're taking away from family time and work and other things. That it's important that your battery gets recharged too, and reminding yourself why you started this and why it was important. So I thought this conversation would be good for us to kind of hear that, but also good for you to get your battery recharged and revitalized, because I'm so excited about the book, and I want to see you not only, really succeed with it, but I want you to run across the finish line full of life and energy and not exhausted.
Thank you. Thank you. So we started this project in February, and the idea was just basically, I want to publish a book where I'm sharing stories of other people living with MS, but in a healthy way. It's going to be inspirational, but everybody's going to have a happy ending.
Mm.
So once I started reaching out to people and started interviewing them, I find everybody on Instagram based on their profile, just like you. It was just, everything was just unfolding. Everybody was so interested sharing their story, because everybody in the book want to help others, because it's just, there are very dark moments when you live with MS. And I remember when I was diagnosed, it took me, I don't even know, like long months before I was like getting hope back. And then I lost it again. So, and in the meantime, I had to read so many books just to gather information and just to learn what's the next step, what should I try? Because I know medication is one way to go, and you still have to manage a healthy lifestyle. And not everything works for everybody. So once I started researching, and it took me hours and hours, just, I love reading, but I felt like I don't have time to read all these books that I have on my list. So I started listening to them, and it took me a while just to having notes and everything. And this book, I wanted like people to share their story, but have it as a manual where people can highlight things, like make it easier for somebody who got just diagnosed and they don't know where to start. So this book would give them not only inspiration, but and not only hope, but a guide because not, like I said, not everything works for everybody, but like a healthy lifestyle change and diet change could really improve everybody's symptoms. And this book is all about that, just like you shared your story. I every time I get a story, I'm like crying, laughing, smiling, like happy. It's just like, this is the project that I always dreamed of doing. And it's not work, like you mentioned. It's like, yeah, it takes a lot of time reading everybody like 10-15 pages, and then I have to proofread. Let me go back a little bit. So once I had this idea, I posted it on Instagram, and a wonderful person, her name is Paige, reached out to me, and she's a book editor. And she was more excited about the project than I was. So we are kind of motivating each other in a way, but we don't really need motivation, because it's just, we just sit down and we just do the work. And I can't wait to have this book in my hands so I can share it with others. So once we started working on getting everybody's stories in, the original goal was to have 30 stories for the book. And I don't know why 30 stories. I just had this dream of 30. And so far, we actually received 32 stories. And 3 more people are working on the stories. And now I'm thinking, if we get 35 stories, that's how old I was when I was diagnosed with MS. So
Wow.
I am very specific with numbers. I don't know. I just love so anyway, so far we finished 14 stories, and 7 almost finished, and 18 we are currently editing. So it's coming along, and hopefully by the middle of September I can have a Kindle version, and hopefully the actual book ready to sell on Amazon.
I love this. And you know what I love when we first started talking about this is MS affects lots of different types of people at different stages of their life and different nutritional needs, different backgrounds, different, work environments, different geographies, and stories with people that represent some of those different areas is so important, because there should be someone for everyone to relate to. And that's half the battle. It's just saying, I see myself in this story, but I also see myself in this story. And, maybe no, I couldn't do this particular diet. I never see myself being able to do that, but maybe I could try this one. And you don't have to read, like you said, 10 different books to see all the different diets. You get the practical, this is what I'm doing on a daily basis. These are the supplements that I'm taking. And it's almost like fast forwarding the learning curve,
Yeah.
shortening it, because some of us geek out on it. Like, I love nutrition. I get interested in this stuff, but that's not everybody's passion. So when they're facing this diagnosis and they're trying to figure out, how do I improve my health? They just want the shortcut. Just show me, tell me the practical application of what you learn. And I think that was part of what was so exciting to me. Do you feel like you've got good diversity in these stories?
Yes.
Yeah.
People are all over the world. I have few people from Canada, a lot of them from US, but I have people from France, United Kingdom, New Zealand, Australia, France. Did I say France? Yeah. So I have people all over the world, and it's just so interesting because everybody is different and everybody is trying different things. But it comes down to what works for you. Not everything's gonna work for everybody, but like you said, this is like fast forwarding the whole process of, like, it comes down to simplicity. Eat whole foods, all those like messages that you get from all these books. But once you read, like, every story is different, but there's a message in every story that comes through the book. And that's basically stress management, diet, lifestyle, toxins, like all those things. It's very common. So once somebody who is newly diagnosed and doesn't know where to start, if they focus on only these few things, it's going to be an easier and faster transformation for them.
Yeah, I love that. And that was going to be my follow-up question. Are you seeing some common themes? Because I feel like you're in such a privileged position, because you get to see all these different stories. And you're right, there's going to be a nuance to this and a nuance to that. But like all of us know, we have to get more vitamin D. I mean, that's pretty common now. And so understanding that one piece, if you don't learn anything else, like in the first months or the first year of your diagnosis, if you improve that one thing as you're thinking through some of the other elements and changes, that could be really change the course of the progression. I know that for me, I was reluctant to initially participate in this, only because I don't think about MS on a daily basis. I actually try not to think about it, and I go on with my life. And I was reluctant to share, even with people in my life, that I had MS. People professionally didn't know. I was worried about the implications. I'm dating. I was worried about talking to people who I'm dating about this for the first time. And I finally realized that, there are so many people that need hope, and seeing someone who can live most of their life not thinking about it is probably the most hopeful thing that somebody newly diagnosed can hear, is that most days I don't think about it at all. So is that inspiration part of what you were looking for in the stories, or did you just happen to find it?
I just happened to find it to answer that's the quick answer. But like you are not putting your head in the sand and just like, okay, I have MS, whatever. You are doing you don't think about you have MS, but you are doing the right things to manage MS and live a healthy, happy lifestyle. Life. So this is the message. It's yes, you can live your life, but not thinking about MS. But sometimes you wake up and you are like in fear, and that's not healthy. You have to accept the fact that you have MS, and you're not going to do everything that's possible, but just like live in a way that it makes it's a better lifestyle. It's not like you completely have to change your life because you have MS, but you have to acknowledge, because it's easier to move on. It's easier to move on with your life and be happy that there is a hope, like you said, and we can just making small changes, and we're gonna feel better. It's not everybody ends up in wheelchair. That's the message we are getting from the medical community.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know. And this is the thing, because who are doing well don't talk about it. And so you don't, it's almost like this is the silent side of MS, because
Yeah.
people who are doing well and flourishing, they may not be out in public talking about MS, and most of the people who are around them may not know they have it. So if that's the case, then the only messages we hear are the sad stories and the, you know, a celebrity now that's diagnosed and their progression that was quick, and it really it drowns you and can bring you to that dark place, because if that's all you're hearing. And so at least I think this kind of levels the playing field, where you do hear some of those stories, but you also hear this other side where you're like, this can be another way. And I think you make a really good point. I think I live in peace most days, not thinking about it, because I know fundamentally I'm doing the right things. I'm doing what I can do. And then at some point you just have to have peace and knowing, hey, fundamentally I'm doing the things that should end up with the best chance I have. And then I just need to go on once those things are taken care of. So I do think the stress of not, you know, having those things in place is part of what creates the fear. Because, you know, I need to make changes, but I don't know what changes to make. I need
Yeah.
to, you know, I need to be taking supplements, but I don't know what supplements to take, you know. And so solving, or at least coming to some conclusion on those things, kind of gives you a little bit of peace. I don't know, have you had that feeling too, that just kind of covering your bases
Yeah.
a little?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And not only that, but when you read some stories that they have the common thing, like finding the root cause of the disease, seeing a holistic practitioner, you know, when I was diagnosed, I didn't even know what a holistic practitioner is, or a functional medicine doctor.
Yeah.
And I didn't know where to start. But here in the book, there are specific websites to go to, you know. So it's something that it gives you extra information that you don't have to search on the web, or, you know, like, it's just coming from somebody who is living a good life with MS. So it's going to be easier to maybe check it out. You don't have to follow somebody step by step. Or when you mention supplements, not everybody can take the same supplements. So the information coming from some people in the book, it's not that you have to take it word by word. It's more like informational, and you have to do your own research, but at least you know where to start.
That's right. No, I love it. I'm beyond excited, and I think that the universe has a way of bringing cool people together to do really amazing work, and I've just experienced it enough times in my life. I know there's no coincidences. So I appreciate you, and I also, you know, there's something you said to me that will stay with me forever. And I remember we were talking about medication, and you asked me, you know, why do you take medication? And you were completely transparent that you understand for some people that's exactly what they need, and for other people they choose a different path. But I explained to you my logic, and you said, so it's fear. And you weren't saying it in an accusatory way. You weren't saying it in a critical way. You were just reflecting what you heard. And that was a pivotal moment for me, because it allowed me to acknowledge that indeed that was the driving force and that was the reason. And then I could stop and think a little bit about that. And you know, am I okay with that? Am I okay with the reasons why I've made those decisions? So I'll be forever indebted to you for kind of
Thank you for
mirroring that back to me and letting me kind of really reflect on that a little bit. So I'm super grateful for the work, the project, and that question in particular.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. By the way, the reason I asked you that question is because I had the medication in my hand. I was holding it, and I know I was about to take it because of fear. And I don't know what happened. Next day I woke up and I'm like, you know what? This is not going to solve my fear. I have to find a different way to kind of get over my fear. And yes, it's like you said, most people need it, and it's so good that it's helping them. But also you need to change your lifestyle a little bit, in my belief, and according to Dr. Ross, and according to a lot of well-known people who are living a good life with MS. So it's this book is also, it's going to show you some very interesting things that people are doing, and it's working for them.
Well, it's awesome, incredible. And at the very least, we should understand why we're making the decisions we make, because I think then that gives us confidence. Fully think through it, put it to bed, say, this is my decision, this is the logic, I've thought through it, and now I go on with my life. So I look forward to it. I hope you all the success with it. And if there's any way I can support, I'm
Thank
always here to
you.
support you. And
You're
this is,
already supporting me having this call with you.
well, it's an
Thank you.
absolute privilege. But I expect this to be one of the greatest works. I'm sure you'll do other great projects in